If you're interested in leading a retreat, chances are you want it to be the most positive and transformational experience possible. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. First, we're going to talk about what is it to deliver a transformational experience. We're going to talk about who can benefit from it, and then the steps that I've developed to design, create, deliver, and lead a positive transformational experience. When you're someone who can deliver a really powerful experience, chances are people are going to want to come back or sign up to whatever else you're offering. If you want to learn more about how to design an entire business model around retreats, then check out some of my other videos. So let's address what it is to have a transformative or transformational experience. It ultimately means that when people leave the experience, when they're complete, that they're somehow different. Perhaps they've healed something, they've become aware of something, they've transformed some past belief or trauma or experience in some way. Perhaps they've learned a new skill or bonded with people that they've never met before. All of these things can contribute to having a transformative experience. There's both a science and an art to creating an experience that has those kinds of outcomes. Now, who is this for? This is for you if you're a coach, some sort of leader, consultant, someone who's leading a team of people, and essentially you are responsible for delivering transformation. So now join me over here at my handy dandy flip chart while I share with you the steps to delivering transformation. The first thing is to understand who your audience is, who is going to be there, and what they need and want. What they need and want. So having clarity about the audience that you're serving, what they're facing, what they're struggling with, what their desires are, their possibilities are, it's really, really important. And I'm a big believer, particularly in the strategic business space, of having clarity about who your target market is, because ultimately we lead these transformational experiences to make a deep impact on people. And so the more deeply we understand our people, the more we're able to deliver that kind of experience. The second thing to have is a clear intention. And when I say intention, I mean your intention and also the clients and the attendees' intentions. So when I'm leading a retreat, every single time, and I do this 6 to 8 times a year, I have a very clear theme for the retreat. So that's kind of the overarching client-facing, here's what we're up to. And then internally, I have my intention about what I want the attendees to walk away with. I clarify that, I write it out, and sometimes I even share it with them at the beginning of the experience. And then I give them the opportunity to set their intention. So let me clarify this here by saying there's your intention, and then there's the client or the attendee intention, right? The third piece of this, which is probably the most important part, is to design the trajectory of transformation. What I mean by the trajectory of transformation is the journey from the beginning of the experience all the way to the other side of the experience when they're complete. So the trajectory of transformation, I have a specific way I do it that I'm going to share it with you that you may or may not use. You might have your own way to do it. But because I work with such high achievers, I work with really smart people, I find that the easiest way to have them have a really deep and transformational experience is to start with the mind. So step one is always some sort of mental, I'm going to put mind, mental, sort of conceptual overview of what we're doing. I like them to know what it's about. So if there's a theme, for example, we recently had the theme of abundance, okay? The whole retreat was around how to foster abundance and how to have more prosperity, how to make more money. And so in the very beginning, we started with a conversation, a discussion from the mental aspect about what is abundance, what is the opposite of abundance, what's scarcity, right? And so we had a deep conversation for a good, I would call it 2 or 3 hours where we all started that way. And that opens the mind and it gets the mind engaged. The second part is the body. So I go from the mind into some sort of physical experience related to abundance, for example. So we might go on a hike, and on the hike, talk about and point out everything that feels abundant to us on the hike. Oh, wow, there's an abundance of leaves on the tree. There's abundance of rocks. And then we kind of drop into the physicality, the physical experience of abundance. And these are where you start to design activities and exercises, because a transformational retreat experience is not about just you talking the whole time, or even anybody talking the whole time. My belief is we come together, we do these retreats so that we can have a deep and embodied experience. So the second piece is the body. From the body, it's much more easy to open up the heart. So we start to move into the world of emotions and feelings, and what it feels like to be in scarcity, or what it feels like to be in abundance, and start to open up to the deeper layers of emotion. And then from the heart, we move into the spirit or even soul. And for some of you, that might be beyond the scope of what you want to touch on. But for those of you who are doing spiritual retreats, this is a great process to get people ready for this piece. Now, in my retreats, this is mostly day one, and day one right here. Then we move into day two, and by here, this is day 2, day 3 over here. And then the final piece, which so many people miss, is integration. Bringing all the pieces together and integrating them and giving people the space and time and grace to integrate the experience, to talk about what they got, to connect with each other. One of the biggest challenges that I used to have when I started leading transformational retreats was that I would pack it too full, too tightly with content or activities, and people really needed that space to integrate. If you're liking this content, I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'd love to hear about your ways of delivering transformative experiences at retreats in the comments below. Now let's talk about a few more things you can do to create transformation. The fourth is to foster community. Now, a lot of this happens in the process of having these experiences. But again, one of the mistakes that I made in the beginning that I'd like to warn you about is you want to make sure that you don't hog the conversation, that you're not over-directing and over-producing. You want to give people a sense of connection and community, meaning give people space to share. Give people space to break off into 2s and 3s, into smaller groups, and have more deep and intimate experiences besides the ones that you're creating for the group at large. And then finally is your own leadership. This often gets overlooked, and I feel like this is probably one of the biggest shifts that I've seen in my own business. As I've stepped into greater leadership, my retreats are more transformational. People have better experiences. They're more likely to sign up for the programs that come after. So this is a big part of your job, is to do the work yourself and make sure that you're embodying the very work that you're asking your clients to do, and that you're at least a few steps ahead of them on the journey. Oh, and I'm going to give you one more bonus one. The sixth one is to follow up. Sometimes the biggest transformations happen after the experience, when people are integrating them, when they're home again, when they're alone again. And so this is a great opportunity to set up something after the experience, to follow up with people, check in, and make sure that the experience is fully integrating. Now, for those of you who are interested in learning how to run retreats profitably and turn that into a business, the next best step is to explore my Business Breakthrough Retreat. That's where you and I together with my team actually build out and plan out your retreat and big back-end business model. You can find out more at superstarbusinessbreakthrough.com.